The guild wars didn't start with a flashy announcement on the leaderboards. They didn't appear in patch notes. No, they began in whispers, through private channels and messages that vanished moments after being read. This conflict was never meant for the casual player. It was a secret reserved for those who had ventured into the deepest layers of the MMORPG, Mythbound Realms. On the surface, the game was famous. It had spectacular raids, flashy PvP battles, and a vibrant community. But beneath all that, a hidden ecosystem was stirring. An ancient network of alliances, betrayals, and forgotten powers. I learned this truth by accident. My online name is Ashlock, and in the real world, I'm Adrian Vale, just a quiet strategist. My guild was nothing special, just a mid-tier group of friends. One day, instead of just farming a dying NPC spirit for drops like everyone else, we decided to help it. We completed a forgotten quest chain, a series of tasks no one had bothered with for years. What happened next wasn't in any game guide. The game engine did something it was never supposed to do. The spirit didn't just fade away with a scripted animation. It bowed, a gesture of genuine reverence. And then, it spoke my username aloud, Ashlock. It offered my guild an oath of alliance and a chilling warning. A war, older than the game servers, was about to awaken. From that moment, the world of Mythbound Realms began to change in subtle ways. A mountain range would shift 1 pixel to the left. An ocean would deepen by a few feet. Shadows in the capital cities started to linger just a little too long. And then, guild banners began appearing in places they shouldn't, on desolate peaks and in forgotten ruins. A second, hidden war system had just activated. Guilds were no longer fighting for points on a public leaderboard. We were now fighting for the allegiance of mythical beings. These weren't just powerful monsters. They were dragons bound to entire mountain ranges, ancient forest spirits tied to forgotten biomes, leviathans sleeping in unused ocean zones, and primordial constructs buried deep beneath the capital cities. I realized, far too late, that by accepting the spirit's oath, I had entered my guild into the Veiled Wars. This was a conflict where victory didn't just give you loot, it rewrote the very logic of the world. And defeat meant entire quest lines, entire chapters of the game's history were permanently erased. Soon, other elite guild leaders started receiving their own cryptic invitations. Dragons would speak to them through crackling storm clouds. Relic beasts, once just background scenery in old raids, began to awaken. The secret war escalated. Alliances formed, not between players, but between entire belief systems. Some guilds saw these mythical allies as nothing more than weapons. They used dark binding spells and exploitation to force them into submission, seeking raw power and legendary damage buffs. Other guilds, like mine, chose a different path. We negotiated. We earned trust through sacrifice, patience, and restraint. But this created a rift within my own guild. Some of my members craved the power our rivals were accumulating. They saw legendary weapons and unbeatable stats. I saw the consequences. We all watched when a rival guild successfully enslaved a mighty fire dragon. Their victory was short-lived. The entire volcanic zone it guarded became uninhabitable, a scorched wasteland of code that locked thousands of players out of their progression paths. The game developers didn't issue a rollback. The system considered this an acceptable outcome of the war. Our new spirit ally, who we came to know as Illyrian, explained what was happening. Mythbound Realms was governed by an ancient procedural mythology engine. It was designed to evolve legends dynamically based on the collective behavior of the players. Every mythical creature represented a core concept. Dragons embodied sovereignty. Spirits embodied memory. Giants embodied endurance. When guilds forced these beings into alliances, the concepts they represented became twisted, destabilizing the world itself. Soon, the hidden guild war began to spill into the visible reality of the game. Cities fell into ruin overnight. Forests burned with magical fire. The skies changed color from blue to an ominous purple. Even the regular NPCs, the shopkeepers, and quest givers reacted with genuine fear and defiance, as if they could sense that something was fundamentally wrong with their world. The most terrifying realization came when I uncovered a hidden archive buried deep within the game's files. It described the final stage of the Veiled Wars. If the war reached its conclusion, the boundary between myth and system would collapse permanently. The game's very identity would be rewritten into the ideology of the winning side. Mythbound Realms would become either a tyrant-trolled power fantasy or a living, cooperative myth. The choice was up to us. As the stakes grew, guilds started recruiting beings of immense power, phoenixes, shadow titans, and ancestral kings. The general server population unknowingly became spectators to a war that was shaping the very soul of the game they loved. In response, my guild renamed itself. We became the Covenant of Ash, choosing diplomacy over domination. We formed true pacts with beings like the Sky Dragon Valerix. She didn't demand gold or rare items. She demanded balance in the Sky Roots and respect for weaker, smaller guilds. Every alliance we made came with a cost. I had to sacrifice my own personal progression. We renounced our rights to exclusive loot. We even allowed rival guilds to find sanctuary under the protection of our dragon allies, completely fracturing the traditional logic of PvP. We were playing a different game now. Our primary opposition was a guild called Iron Dominion, led by a ruthless tactician known only as Grimcrone. He was a master of coercion. He bound ancient war beasts, gaining an overwhelming advantage on the battlefield. The zones he controlled were rewritten into brutal, high-risk environments where casual players were farmed out of existence, their resources stripped to fuel his war machine. As the tension between our factions peaked, the system triggered the final phase, the Mythical event. It forced all allied creatures to manifest at once, revealing the true scale of the war to every single player online. Dragons clashed in the skies above the capital cities. Spirits screamed across entire continents. Ancient titans rose from beneath the streets, tearing architecture apart and turning familiar landscapes into scenes of legend. The secret was out. I stood at the center of this convergence, at the heart of the storm. It was there that Illyrian revealed the final truth. The Veiled Wars were not a test of skill or strength. They were a test of stewardship. The ultimate question was this: would players treat myth as a resource to be exploited or a responsibility to be honored? In that final moment, Iron Dominion moved to secure their victory. Grimcrone attempted to forcibly bind Illyrian, the spirit who had started it all for us. Winning this prize would have given him final control over the game's core mythology. I did the unthinkable. I ordered my guild, the Covenant of Ash, to stand down. We relinquished our chance at ultimate dominance. We let Illyrian choose freely. This act of trust caused a cascade reaction across the entire server. Other enslaved creatures, witnessing this, felt their bonds weaken. They broke free, turning on their captors. But it wasn't an act of revenge. It was a correction. They weren't destroying, they were rebalancing. As Grimcrone's empire of force and fear collapsed, the world began to heal. The ravaged zone stabilized. The mythic beings reclaimed their autonomy, and the system locked the outcome permanently. Myth-bound Realms was rewritten. It became a living world where power required consent and dominance demanded consequence. When the war finally ended, there was no victory screen. There were no title rewards, no legendary armor sets. There was only a subtle shift in the world. Guilds were now remembered in in-game lore books. Their histories were told through NPC dialogue, reflecting how they had treated the ancient beings. I logged out for the last time weeks later. I realized the greatest reward wasn't control or power, it was coexistence. Future players would never see the Veiled War itself. They would only see its scars and hear its stories woven into the fabric of the world. And that was proof that the most powerful guild wasn't the one with the strongest allies, but the one that understood that myths were never meant to be owned. They were only meant to be honored. Thank you for listening.